All right, so today's trade recap. Let me turn the face cam on real quick. Let me turn this up real quick. Boom, boom. All right, so for today's trade recap, we hit on the Lucid accounts or Lucid account, and we basically hit for 1.2k today for the PNL. So we're at 1.4, which is good. Again, we're halfway past on this account. We were risking around 20 cons. Here was the trade here, and I'm going to go over the trade for the top step accounts too. But today I had a different approach. This wasn't really following the system that I'd be trading, or the one that I formed and trade. So I am currently experimenting with this new platform, which I'm going to go over and show you guys everything. So there's no gatekeeping here. I'm going to show you guys what I'm using and what confluences I use to take this trade, because again, it's more of like a learning experience. And here was the trade for the top step account. We took a 1 minute IPG, and that flopped really bad, especially because we didn't tap up into the 5 minute PD area, which is pretty unfortunate. If we did, then I think this trade would have been even more high probability, but we failed to displace, and that's kind of where I moved my stop loss to break even, and I trailed it, and then eventually the market went down, and then it pushed up. And the second trade I entered off of the Lucid accounts. I keep saying alpha. Lucid accounts were right here. Took this change in the state of delivery after we swept these lows, and we were unable to breach right here, but I think we did have SMT fill, and then the market just started to push up, and it was a strong conviction play. But we did get locked out, and this one I need to lock it out, because again, I'm only taking one trade a day, and this trade was I did short, and then eventually I did go long. And again, my reason for shorting was because, again, we were trying to reach up into that 5 minute PD rate, but the market just continued to fail. And that just goes to show we had strength. We had strength in buyers. And let's take this off real quick. So, yeah. If we go to our higher time frame bias, so the 4 hour time frame, I did have my other trade from yesterday. So I had the 4 hour PD right here marked out, and let's just clean this up. I need to clean the chart up. So I had the 4 hour PD rate, and I did want to see the market, at 9 a.m. come down lower to then push up higher, simple, clear stuff like that. And then on the 1 hour time from here, you can see we had this 1 hour candle range low sweep, but we also had a 1 hour CRT. And again, I was expecting the market to come down, sweep these lows, and then eventually push up higher. It looked pretty clear, and we also had this PD right here. So I was like, all right, we can probably push down lower, tap up into it. And then eventually we can reach further and then push up. If not, then just sweep these lows and then reach for this, and then eventually push up. I think that would have been a very high probability confluence, something like this. So I can give you guys a, the market pushes down, boom, and then it pushes up higher, and that's originally what we're going to be looking for. A simple sweep, push down, push up, and then we look for the reversal. But we had that 1 hour candle range low sweep on the 50-minute time frame. This is where I looked for the trade idea. So on the 1 hour time from here, you can see that there 10 a.m. opens up, push down, and then we push up higher. And then for the 30-minute time frame, we had that 30-minute buy side and balance form. But here on the 50-minute time frame, we had a 15-minute PD rate tapped up into, and then eventually you can see here the market eventually started to push up higher, had that reversal. And on the 1 minute time frame, this is where I looked for my trade idea with that 1 minute change in the state of delivery to then eventually pushes up higher right here, and the stop loss was below this low right there, and we were targeting basically these highs up here for a nice 1 to 8.4, which wasn't a bad setup. And you may be wondering, what was your confluence? Here was my confluence right here. How can I move these real quick? So I'm having this on a vertical chart, but all right, there. So let's actually go right here like that. Over here like that. All right, so here was my trade idea. Using order flow. Main confluences I was looking at was the delta. Session delta was positive, and here we can see we have more delta here. This would be like your market profile. This is what every trader uses order flow. They use the market profile, but I have it as delta. But if you go for volume, you can see it here. You can see that here you were at a low volume node, and you were at a low volume node, and I don't have the under control or the value area high here marked out. But either way, I didn't really use that. I was using more of the cluster chart or the footprint chart with delta, and I was looking at where is the majority of the buyers and sellers, you know, at. So you can see here the 15-minute candle opens up, pushes up higher. We have this candle right here. This is a red candle, the black, and then the black candles are the down close candles, up close are the white ones. So 15-minute time frame, we have trap sellers right here. And if the market wanted to push down lower, these sellers right here would have continued to push us down lower, but that never happened. And this candle closed up, you know, and majority of the buyers were right here at this level. You know, you can see the big trades area, and a majority of the buyers were there, basically right here. Right here, and you can see the market what continues, it pushes down lower and then eventually pushes up, and we have all these sellers right here resting, minus 244. Majority of the sellers are resting. So once the market starts to push up higher and it, you know, leaves those sellers behind, all those trap sellers, you expect price to push up higher. It's simple as that, because if the market wanted to continue pushing down lower off of this right here, and especially sweeping this and trapping all these buyers, it would have done the same. You know, it would have continued, had direction with strong aggression here with these sellers, and fueling this move right here, fueling it, pushing down lower, reaching for these lows, but it never happened. And I was also watching the delta here. The delta was negative and then it was flipping positive. So that to me was like, hey, this candle is not going to be bearish. It's going to be a bullish candle, and it's starting to reverse. And eventually I started to look at the big trades on the 5-minute, and that's kind of where everything started to shift. On the 5-minute time frame, again, we had sellers here, but we also had buyers here, and that's when the buyers started to step up. That's kind of where I noticed, like, hey, if the buyers are going to step up here and the market is going to continue to expand, you want to see that strong expansion occur. And that's really the main confluence, was this right here, was watching the footprint with the delta and just looking at, like, hey, where are majority of the sellers and where are they going to trap that. And once you see that and you see the big trades, you know, also fueling buyers continuing to push up, and you see the order flow, like, see the orders pushing up, and that's when you start to notice, like, hey, these sellers right here are trapped. They're going to try to, you know, continue to push price lower, but the buyers are, you know, in control, and they're going to continue to have strong aggression. And that's kind of what happened here. The aggressive, you know, the passive buyers bought up all these aggressive sellers to then eventually, you know, pushes up higher. And that's kind of where I took my trade idea. And as simple as that. Let's go back over here. So yeah, that's a little tool I've been using to help me. I'll push it back down right there. But it's mainly really like the main confluence I'm using here is the delta. That's the main confluence I'm using to get me into this trade to then eventually take it off for higher prices. And I'm still experimenting though. Like, I'm not really fully, you know, trading order flow yet. But I'm like experimenting. I'm seeing what, you know, ICT concepts, like how these fair value gaps hold, why they hold, absorption levels, reversals, and retracements, and I'm confirming my reversal. And that's really it. You know, I'm using those time frames, like the 15-minute. I'm staying on the 15, looking at the cluster chart there, looking at the delta, seeing where majority of those orders are resting and where the passive buyers and the passive sellers are, and the aggressive buyers and sellers using the big trades. And then I'm not using heat map, but I'm using delta and the cluster, you know, data there. So that's pretty much really it. I was up late last night, you know, just experimenting here. But again, I'm not really using deep charts. I'm using ATS, and I'm still watching videos, still learning. But yeah, it was a powerful setup here. And yeah, just sticking to the higher time frame. I think the higher time frame always is more powerful in terms of, like, hey, same thing with the bigger trades, like big trades, using like more volume, using more like aggression, you know, because you want to see those big aggressive moves that are sponsored by the market. You know, you don't want to be trading those baby moves. So again, just zooming out, using the higher time frame, and not sticking to the lower time frames. I think the lower time frames are not noise, but they just don't give you the context you need, and that's why it's important to zoom out. So that's pretty much really it. The trade here. These accounts are floating. This month is around plus 200. Again, I'm going to continue using the system here, but on this one I will continue to experiment. And if we do pass and we do get, you know, payout using the order flow, I need to structure it in a way where there's like a system behind it. You know, I don't want to be, you know, just trading just to trade. I want to have a system like this. That's why, you know, we got basically max allocated like this, but I don't want to change my system, but I want to incorporate order flow to like make it more powerful. So yeah, today's trade I shouldn't have taken it on these right here. But this one, I guess we take it because it was with order flow. So it's pretty much really it. So yeah, peace.